say anything.
Anything.
Okay, we're going.
Okay, we're going. Okay, this is a brute oil water separator. I'm going to try to explain exactly how it works. We come from start off by pulling a suction from your holding tank or your bilge or your pond or whatever the source is coming from, and the pump is pulling through the system out of your holding tank. Through an inlet, we go through a Y strainer to take out any large particles. Then we come into the center of the vessel, up through the center pipe, through coalescing media, polypropylene coalescing media. We come over the top of a weir and then come back down the outside of the pipe. The oil keeps going up. The water goes over the weir and comes down. The oil is measured by a conductance level probe that measures the water level. When that reservoir gets full of oil, it trips a relay inside the control panel, and it says the oil needs to be discharged. At that point in time, the valve opens. A source of fresh water comes through. This valve opens. A source of fresh water comes in under pressure and pushes the oil out. The water, which comes over the weir, comes out the outer section, comes into a pump. The pump pushes it through a flow indicator, which measures the flow. There's a control valve where you can adjust this to whatever level you want. The turn down ratio on the vessel is, you can turn it down 90+%. The more you turn it down, the better it'll work. The water is pushed back through a filter to take out fine sediment that goes through the separator. Then it goes to an organoclay filter that removes the emulsions. Then it comes back through a discharge and a recycle valve. These valves are controlled by an oil content monitor, in this case a TD107. The oil content monitor is certified to assure you that that oil can never be discharged overboard without being less than 15 parts per million. So the monitor controls those valves. If the oil content is less than 15 parts per million, it allows it to discharge. If it is more than 15 parts per million, this alarms, shuts the discharge valve, opens the recycle valve, and the water goes back to the bilge or the holding tank and is recycled a second time. So it guarantees that nothing can be discharged that is over a 15 parts per million limit. This monitor can also come in a 5 parts per million version or a 100 part per million version if you're not subject to IMO regulations. Everything is controlled by a control panel. This operates under a 110 volt. There's a transformer in here that we can transform any voltage or any frequency, so it doesn't matter whether that's 440 volt 60 hertz or 415 volt 50 hertz or 575 volt or 220. It doesn't matter to us. We take whatever voltage comes in and we transform that to 110, and all of the instruments and all the controls are operated at 110 volt. The control panel controls the operation of all the valves and the level and all of the instruments. The system is very, very rugged and durable. The valves are rated at very high pressure, even though we're not under a pressure environment. Everything is top of the line, and maintenance is minimal. The organoclay, let me back up. The coalescing media inside the primary separator is a polypropylene media that is designed to last for many years, usually 10 to 15 years, if it's not subjected to high caustics or high acids. So it does not need to be changed. It does not need to be cleaned. The more oil that gets on it, the better job it does at coalescing. On the other hand, the media that's in the polishing filter, the organoclay, is a consumable media and does need to be changed when it gets full of oil. Now, what we have found is that if you have a lot of solids in your material, the solids will plug up that organoclay before it's consumed with the oil. So we do two things to help with that. One, we have a system of backwash valves on that. They come manual, but we can't automate them. Those backwash valves allow you to push those solids back out, backwash them out of the system. We recommend that backwash be done on a frequent basis. If you're using your separator every day, at the end of every day, just open those valves for 5 minutes and that'll keep the system clean. The organoclay will last a long time. If you treat the organoclay properly, it'll last a long time. If you don't watch it, you'll be changing it frequently. We find that on an average, those people that take care of their organoclay properly can last up to a year. Some cases more, some cases less, depends on your situation. If you have a lot of solids, solids are a nemesis for any oil water separator. All separators have problems dealing with solids. If you have a lot of solids, you may need to put a different type of a pre-filter on that. A basket strainer would be a step up from a Y strainer. If you have more than the basket strainer will handle, and you have serious solids, then we recommend going to a different version of this separator that is what we call a combination vessel, which is a solid separator and an oil water separator built into the same vessel. In this case, this is a 45 GPM. The vessel would be a little bit larger, and the solids would be removed in the center and the bottom. We would have another pump that would pump that sludge out of the bottom. So it would first remove the solids, then it will remove the oil, and we can deal with very high concentrations of solids, as much as 50 to 60%. There's no other system on the market that can deal with that kind of solids and also remove the oil. This is the only separator of its kind, and it's designed to deal with high levels of solids. So we can adjust your system to meet whatever your conditions are, from a small amount of solids to a high amount of solids. We can deal with small amounts of oil, high amounts of oil. The system is a complete system. It's designed to meet your requirements. All we need to know is what your situation is, and we can design the system to meet your specific requirements. In addition to this, we have a number of other options that we have included in our arsenal, so that we can design the system to meet your specific needs. I don't know what else to say.
It's a wrap.
Leave it roll 1 minute. Let me have this.
Richard was able to give us a very good definition of the separator and how it works. Give us a call for the Brute Marine Oil Water Separator and or the Solids Removal Separator. We love oil. We can help. We've got everything covered. Give us a call. We'll talk it up. We could give you a solution for your problems. Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Bernie. This is the Brute Marine Oil Water Separator. Call Skim Oil. Great.
That work okay?
Yeah, it's great.